The fluorescent lights above flickered like nervous eyes as Rhea Johnson clutched the stack of incriminating papers against her chest. Her heartbeat thundered so hard it felt like it might shatter her ribs. From the hallway came the sharp, deliberate echo of approaching footsteps, security guards moving closer, their radios crackling in the tense silence. She had only seconds before they reached her desk. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration of her long-awaited promotion. Instead, she stood in the finance department's deserted records room at midnight, sweating under the cold glow of buzzing lights, staring at documents that could destroy not only her career but the entire company. 2 weeks earlier, this same office had felt like heaven. After years of late nights, flawless presentations, and mentoring new hires, Rhea had finally been named Senior Operations Manager. The announcement had sparked a chorus of clapping from her colleagues. Her supervisor, Richard Kane, shook her hand with a firm grip that lasted a beat too long, his smile gleaming under the celebratory spotlights. Champagne glasses clinked, congratulations poured in, and Rhea, one of the few black women to ever hold such a position in the firm's history, allowed herself to believe she had finally broken through the invisible ceiling that had hovered over her since day one. But the first crack in her triumph appeared the very next morning. An anonymous email landed in her inbox with the subject line, "Congrats, but be careful." The body of the email contained nothing but a single attachment, a spreadsheet filled with odd financial inconsistencies that hinted at massive fraud. At first, Rhea thought it was some kind of prank, maybe a jealous coworker trying to rattle her. She deleted it, determined to focus on her new role. Then the accidents began. A critical presentation she had worked on for weeks suddenly contained glaring errors. Errors she was sure she hadn't made. Important files she never touched went missing from her shared drive. HR summoned her over an anonymous complaint of mismanagement, only to drop the issue when she demanded evidence. Each incident seemed perfectly timed to paint her as incompetent. And every time something went wrong, Richard appeared at her door with a sympathetic smile and a condescending, "Don't worry, Rhea. These things happen to everyone." His tone dripped with the same patronizing sweetness she'd endured her entire career, the kind that dressed prejudice in polite language. Rhea's instincts told her something more sinister was at play. She started staying late, combing through records after everyone left. Night after night, her eyes burned from spreadsheets and encrypted emails. It was during one of these lonely vigils that she discovered a trail of hidden folders buried deep in the company's server, folders that weren't supposed to exist. Inside were years of financial reports cross-checked with dummy accounts, suspicious transfers, and signatures that had been carefully forged. All of it traced back to Richard. Rhea's stomach had turned cold when she saw his name. The man who had once joked about how impressive she was for someone from your background. The same man who, during her early days at the firm, had warned her that people like her had to work twice as hard to get half as far. She had brushed those remarks off as ignorant small talk. Now each memory pulsed in her mind like a warning siren. The truth was horrifying. Richard had been siphoning millions of dollars through carefully hidden shell accounts for years, and now Rhea's promotion was the perfect setup. As the highest-ranking new manager, she would take the fall when the fraud inevitably came to light. A black woman in a predominantly white firm, her guilt would be a foregone conclusion in the eyes of the board and the press. Tonight, she had returned after everyone left, determined to gather every scrap of evidence before Richard could erase it. Her hands trembled as she printed the final reports and tucked them into her leather tote. That's when she heard the footsteps. The door swung open, and Richard stepped inside, his tailored suit gleaming under the harsh lights. His smile was no longer charming, it was predatory. "Working late, Rhea?" His voice carried the slick confidence of a man who believed he controlled the room. "Numbers can be tricky. People make mistakes." Rhea tightened her grip on the tote, forcing her voice to remain steady despite the storm inside. "Not tonight," she said, her eyes locking on his. "I've got everything I need." His smile thinned. "Careful," he said softly. "Accidents happen to people who dig too deep." Before she could respond, the footsteps in the hallway grew louder. 2 security guards entered, their expressions alert but confused. Richard turned to them smoothly. "Ms. Johnson seems to have triggered a late-night security alert," he said. "I was just checking to make sure everything's all right." But Rhea was ready. She stepped forward and handed the tote to the lead guard, her voice ringing clear and strong. "These documents contain evidence of ongoing financial crimes," she said, loud enough for the hallway cameras to catch every word. "I recommend you call federal investigators immediately." The guard blinked, startled, then began flipping through the papers. Richard's face drained of color as page after page revealed carefully documented transfers and forged signatures. The balance of power shifted in an instant. Rhea watched as his perfect composure cracked, revealing the panic he had fought to hide. "This is a misunderstanding," Richard stammered, but his voice lacked its usual polish. "Then you won't mind explaining it to the investigators," Rhea replied, her words sharp as glass. Security escorted Richard out moments later, their radios buzzing with urgent calls to upper management. The hallway smelled faintly of printer ink and fear. Rhea exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Her hands trembled, but she kept her head high. Hours later, as dawn painted the skyline in pale gold, Rhea stepped out of the building a free woman. Her career would survive. Richard's wouldn't, yet the victory tasted bittersweet. She knew too well how easily her downfall would have been believed if she hadn't uncovered the truth herself. One careless night, one missing document, and she would have been branded the thief. She paused on the sidewalk, looking up at the gleaming tower of glass and steel, once a symbol of success, now a reminder of the prejudice and hidden traps lurking behind every polished door. Around her, the city stirred awake, cars honking in the distance, coffee shops lighting up for the morning rush. Rhea felt the weight of exhaustion press down on her shoulders, but beneath it burned a steady flame of resolve. She hadn't just saved her career. She had proven, if only to herself, that she could outthink the very system designed to silence her. There would always be more battles, more Richards hiding behind their perfect smiles and expensive suits. But tonight she had won. With a deep breath, Rhea adjusted the strap of her tote and walked toward the rising sun, ready to fight again in a world that still had too many Richards, and determined to never let one of them write her story for her.